Unsurprisingly, Pokemon has brought a ghost type back from the dead. So Pokemon Legends Arceus introduced a lot of brand new Hisuian forms and evolutions. Because this was a game taking place a few hundred years in the past, the way most fans explained away there suddenly being brand new forms of previously known Pokemon was that they had gone extinct in modern day. Or, they just don't appear as much as they used to. That is the nice way of saying things and is basically the case. Long ago, these Pokemon had extra evolutions that we don't really see anymore. As Scarlet and Violet have come out, there's a little more confirmation of these Pokemon's eventual fates. All of the Pokemon with Hisuian evolutions appear in this game but aren't able to undergo these evolutions in modern Paldea, needing to be in historic Hisui. And while as the game's protagonist with the time-space warping abilities of Pokemon Home we can have basically any Pokemon our heart desires, the Teal Mask expansion has brought back some of these Pokemon. First of all is Hisuian Growlithe, which we see hanging out with Perrin. There's no real explanation given for how she has one of these, but we can at least say that Hisuian Growlithe doesn't appear to be completely extinct. Maybe just in modern day Sinnoh as a whole, but they're somewhere. Maybe they're just extremely rare. The statues still appear in Kitakami, though they cannot be found there in the wild. Instead, Perrin gives us one as a gift, keeping the answer hidden. It could be that her family has been cultivating them as a very rare breed for all these years, but who knows. There is also Ursaluna, which is a completely different story. I already covered this in its own video, but the basics are that while Ursaluna aren't really seen a lot in modern day Sinnoh, there is one that has made its way to Kitakami. But that brings us to the last Hisuian Pokemon we can meet in the DLC, Basculegion. Now, Basculegion is a very interesting Pokemon, completely unique to what we see of the other Hisuian forms and evolutions because not only is it a brand new evolution for a previously introduced Pokemon, but it evolves from a unique form of that Pokemon, which was never stated to be a Hisuian form in the first place. Rather, this is an alternate to the aggressive red and blue striped Basculin we would meet in the Unova region. So really, I don't think we can count Basculegion as a Hisuian Pokemon. It's an evolution that's exclusive to a white stripe form, which prior to the Teal Mask update we had only seen in Hisui. Really, the only time it was referred to as a regional form was in Professor Laventon's Pokédex entry. This was done at his discretion, not knowing the full story. But now in Scarlet and Violet we can see how they really live. Whereas red and blue striped Basculin were always about how they didn't get along with each other, white striped Basculin is all about teamwork. They live in frigid seas, forming schools and sharing food among themselves. When the time comes, they return to the river they were born in. Much like how Bas will migrate in real life, we see the same theme being used to build White Striped Basculin. And of course we've known ever since the reveal of Basculegion it was said to be the result of spirits of other fallen Basculin combining into one that still lives so it can complete the journey. And we finally get to see what that journey is. If there are no longer Basculin in the Sinnoh region but they appear in Kitakami, then obviously this is where they all went. White striped Basculin appear in this pool of water in the Timeless Woods. When you look at the map, a stream of water coming in from the north feeds into it. And as we know from Blood Moon Ursaluna's lore, it came to Kitakami from Hisui, making a home in the Timeless Woods as well. So obviously, this stream leads to Hisui. But then does that make White Striped Basculin a Pokemon native to Kitakami? Is this the river of their birth as described in the Pokédex? It could be that later on they just stopped traveling to Sinnoh and instead traveled elsewhere. I also wouldn't doubt that in future Pokemon games in other regions we'll just see White Striped Basculin appear in those places. It was never completely tied to the land of Hisui, so this allows it to exist wherever it wants. Because with Basculin's origin as a ghost Pokemon formed by souls of Basculin, I don't think extinction applied to it anyway. But I love how we went from having only one Pokédex entry of this in Legends Arceus to having 4, one for each form across 2 games. And while the original lore of this Pokemon made it an inspiring tale of triumph in a treacherous migration, now it's starting to sound a lot more like a ghost Pokemon, specifically with Violet's female entry. It can afflict a target with terrifying illusions that are under its control. The deeper the sadness of its friends' souls, the paler Basculegion becomes. Yeah, that's just depressing and horrifying. I love it. Kind of neat to see it play more into the ghostly powers that it would gain with its typing, rather than just being a big fish. I mean, it is the only ghost fish Pokemon, so it deserves that kind of emotionally scarring illusion ability. In the end, out of all the new Pokemon we were introduced to in Legends Arceus, I had always found Basculegion to be the most interesting with how it executed this idea of a Pokemon most people were ready to forget all about. In my Ghost types only playthrough of Legends Arceus, I wasn't really able to get a Basculegion until about halfway through my journey, but once I did, boy did this thing put in the work. I think it ended up becoming one of my highest leveled Pokemon just because it had some good coverage compared to the other members of the team, and the damage that this thing would put out was pretty insane. I guess having all those fallen comrades pushing it on made the journey a little easier. That is the power of friendship. I'm really happy Basculegion got an evolution because I had always thought it was a cool enough Pokemon, but it really needed the extra little push to get the respect it deserved. And I am a huge fan of the design, finally getting to be a longer fish and all those ghastly wisps behind it give it a brushstroke kind of feeling that makes it perfect for Legends Arceus. And having 2 variations is a nice way to tie it into the original forms from Generation 5. It is literally a Ghost-type Gyarados, of course I love it. As we continue getting these Pokemon incorporated into the core games, I'm excited to see how they're all explained as still being available to trainers. Of course, I'll never rule out Dialga just plopping them into modern day just because. So let me know what you think about Basculegion's lore in the land of Kitakami and what other Pokemon you'd like to see return. Anyway, I've got to get going and move on with what I have planned because my ancestors are counting on me. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators, Cheeseburger Lasers, Justin R, Cosmo Zero, Lil Swiss, Meme Supreme, Mochizuki Yoru, Nomad Nobi, Phantom, Quago, Taishirai, Volity, and Pastel Blood. If you would like to support, get your name shouted out here as well as access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this has been GatorX, I'll catch you all later.